Hi guys! So it's week 4 of our living yoga beginners practice and we're coming into what's called the Hamsa Kriya. So it's the section of the flow where we particularly take care of the hips and the knees. I'm going to take you through, it's 2 main postures here, but we can do quite a lot of them. I'm going to take you through those postures. So make sure you've got a cushion or something near your mat because you're going to possibly need that shortly. I'm going to assume you're coming in cold because obviously this is a practice that we're just starting now. So I'm going to just take you through a little tiny warm up, just to warm up to the hips before we come into our Swan Pose. So bring yourself to the front of the mat, bring your big toes together, come into your mountain. So suck those thighs up, open the chest, reach through the fingers, lift through the crown. Take a breath in, bend the knees and lift. Look to the thumbs, arch the back slightly, tailbone down. Open your hands, hinge the hips and bring your hands down by your feet. Crown of the head down, hips high, knees to nose, sit back, look forward. We're going to step back into our downward facing dog. We're going to take a little bit of a sun salutation. So inhale into your plank, shoulders over the wrists, draw your belly in and up. 8-point pose now. So knees down, bottom up, roll the elbows in, chin, chest forward, little press up. Now inhale, release the hips, the toes, ground down. We're going to come into our cobra. So roll the shoulder blades back, open the heart, just where's comfortable for you. Move your hips, move your chest. You don't need to be stiff because if this is the first one you've done, you just want to warm up that spine before we come into our Swan Pose or our Pigeon Pose, you can call it. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. So just to warm up the hips, just walk through the feet now. Lift the hips, draw the belly in. Your downward facing dog. We're going to come into a 3-legged dog. So inhale, raise your right foot all the way to the ceiling. Extra pressure in the hands. Bring your chest towards your knees. Inhale. And exhale, bring that foot down to meet the left. Going to come onto the left side. So left foot raises up now. Extra weight in the hands. Chest towards the knee. Take a breath in. And bring your feet down. So your hips are a little bit warmer now. We're going to come into what's called a Swan Pose or a Pigeon Pose. It gets called both. We're going to call it Swan. So with an inhale now, bring your right knee towards your right wrist and bring that foot across the mat. What we're going to do is we're going to lengthen the left leg and you're going to try and get that right heel just into the groin-ish. But see what's good for you. If it's the first time you're coming in, your hips will be very creaky. So just rock and move and see what feels good. If, for example, this is on our right hip, your right hip is not loving this, then take a block, move around so you can see. Take a block and just put it underneath that hip. Give yourself a little bit of support. But if you're okay and your hip is fine, then you've got your right knee near your right wrist, your right foot just in the groin of your left, and you're lengthening that left leg along the middle of the mat. Your kneecap on the floor and put a little charge through your big toe towards the short end of the mat, and then just rock it out. Okay, use your hands, move your body. You don't need to stay stiff. Bring your hands to the side near your hips, sink down, get as low as you can, use gravity, and then suck up. So ground through your front shin, suck up the thighs, suck up the pelvis, lift. And we're going to surrender in this posture. So you're going to walk the hands forward, lengthen the spine, see how you go. Now if you need a little bit of support here, use a cushion on your forehead. Bring your hands either side. You can go as high as you want. You just want to be able to rest your forehead whilst you rock open those hips and the knees. So lengthen the tailbone away. If you don't need a cushion, then you can come flat on the floor. So you can have your hands either by the side underneath your shoulders if you want. Move that so you can see. Or you can have your hands out nice and long and wide. Or your hands together. Or you can have your elbows wide and bring your forehead onto those hands like a pillow. Do what's best for you. Some people even bring their hands into prayer and bring it over the back of their head like this, which just releases the triceps. But it's entirely up to you what you want to do here. You just rock, move, and you see what feels good for you. Close your eyes and feel the breath. I'm just going to turn around so you stay where you are. So we're on the right side. So now when you pad yourselves up, bring your hands underneath the shoulders. Just start to push the chest open a little bit. That's it. Sink and move. Now there's lots of things you can do here. If you're working on this and you're working on the strength in your back and your groin, then just bring your hands to the back and lift up. If you've already got a little bit of strength in that lower back and you think you can move a little bit, then on the inhale now lift the hands back, lift them off. Allow your swan to come out, and you can also arch the back if you want to and draw out of your waist and look up at those thumbs. And then when you're ready, you bring your hands down, you gently take yourself out. So tuck the back toes on the left, take the right back and walk it out in your downward facing dog. Take a full round of breath. Inhale through the nose. Gently exhale out the mouth, lift the hips, rock your head side to side, no tension in the neck. And we're going to come onto the left side. So now left knee to left wrist. Bring that left foot across the mat and get that left heel roughly in the groin of the right leg. That's it, rock it. So now the left leg is nice and long. Push through the big toes. So the back toes will probably try and curl in and make that sort of action. Push the big toes towards the short end of the mat. And that will open up the hips a little bit more. Get comfy, okay? Use a cushion if you need to underneath that hip. Take a breath in, so suck up your pelvic floor, lift the chest, activate, and then walk the hands forward. Relax the tailbone, get as close as to the floor as you can. Feel free to use your cushion, get your spine nice and long, or you can come straight down onto the floor. Arms out long, arms out wide, prayer behind the head. Use gravity now. Just allow gravity just to take the hips and take the shoulders. I'm going to bring my hands underneath my shoulders. Just quite a nice calming effect. Rock. Just square up those hips. Just let gravity take you down onto the floor and open up those hips. We carry a lot of emotional tension in our hips. So one, it's good for our circulation. And two, it's really good to let out any emotional tension. Start afresh, clean through. Now when you're ready, we're going to put a little bit of pressure in the hands to lift the upper body. Nice and easy, not too fast. Bring your hands back down by the sides. And again, we can stay here. There's a number of things that I'll take you through in class. You can lift the hands open the chest, you can raise up. Or what we'll start to do when you start to build a little bit of strength is we will bring the back heel into the bottom. That will strengthen the lower back. We can come into a mermaid foundation where we suck up the thighs, ground through the front shin and lift. Or we can start to play and do other things depending on where your hips are at. But for now, we're going to leave it here. We're going to tuck the toes, bring the hands down and come back into your downward facing dog. Walk it out, one breath. Lift the hips, spread the feet, rock the neck. Breathe in through the nose, settle out through the mouth. Now we're going to come into what's called a hero's pose. So when you're ready, bring your knees to the front of the mat. Now if your knees are particularly bad, then don't come onto your knees in this way. Bring your knees out, bring your legs out nice and long, sit on your bottom and push through the balls of the feet and do the whole upper body section the same. But if your knees are okay, then bring your knees to the front of the mat, bring your feet wide and you're going to sit in between your feet. Now, depending on your knees will depend on how many cushions you need. You might need one big cushion, you might need no cushions, you might need 2 cushions. Use as many cushions as you need to feel comfortable with your knees together and your feet to the side with the tops of your feet on the mat. Okay, so this is comfortable for you, then stay here. If you don't need any cushions, then you can take them away. Now we're going to do this in 3 stages. Only move on to the next stage if your knees are together and your breath is long and steady. If your knees start to split, you've gone too far. If your breath gets short, you've gone too far. So just pull back to the level before. So your knees together, interlace the fingers, draw the belly in and lift. Continue to do this if your legs are out straight. And then bring your hands back. So you've got 1 hand and 2 hands facing your toes, okay? Lift up into the chest. Now, if this is good for you, stay here. Stay here and breathe, chin on your chest. If you feel like you've got a little bit more, Then you can lift up into the chest, and you can just start to come down onto your elbows, stage 2. If you come onto your elbows, tuck your tailbone under. Come onto your elbows. Remember, knees together. If your knees start to split, your breath gets short, come back up to level 1. But if you're okay in level 2, your knees are together, drawing in, you're drawing the energy into your pelvis and your elbows are down. And you can just open up the throat. And on the exhale, allow the crown of the head to flow back in this position. Now, if you've got no cushions under your bum, so if you're, stay here if this is good for you. If you've got no cushions under your bum and you can do one stage more, your knees are together and your breath is long. Don't force yourself, only go with what your body tells you. You take a breath in and you release your elbows and bring yourself all the way onto the mat. Nestle your shoulder blades underneath you, tuck your tailbone under, and then release the hands over the head. And have one hand on each elbow, so bind your elbows above your head. Have your heart open, and whatever stage you're in now, breathe. Only come into this stage if you've got no cushions underneath your bum. If you still need cushions, then stay in stage 1 or 2. Whatever stage you're in now, you breathe into the heart and exhale out of the mouth. Take a few breaths. Take a few cleansing breaths. Draw the knees in together so you're creating this energy in the knees. It's coming right up into the pelvis, into the heart. And then you're cleansing through on the exhale. Now, if you're over in stage 3, then on an exhale, release your hands, hold onto the feet. And inhale yourself up to seated position. Same if you're in elbow position. On the inhale, just draw yourself up to seated. And then to come out, we're going to put our hands out in front of the mat. You're going to cross your ankles behind you and take a little roll on the inhale. Bring yourself into Dandasana. So your feet are out long. And we're going to stay in this position. Now, this is where we go into the long hold. So I'm going to stop the video here. That's your Hamsa Kriya. So if you practice that this week, and we'll come on to the long holds next week. Thank you very much. Email me with any questions. Namaste.